Okay, so we're gonna try something different today. Obviously we're outside, so we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty stoked to be outside. Hopefully it's warmer weather where you're practicing. Maybe you can practice outside too. So this will be just a 60-minute Vinyasa flow. Really no rhyme or reason behind it. I'm just kind of calling it flow it out. So just kind of hop on your mat, grab any blocks or straps that you may need. I'll definitely cue them in the class. I don't have any with me here, but that by no means means that you cannot use them. So when you're ready, we'll get started in child's pose. So go ahead and let the knees splay out wide towards both edges of the mat and let the hips get heavy towards the heels here. Let the third eye grab the mat here as well. Keep the neck nice and elongated. And really let those hips get heavy so they don't necessarily have to touch the heels. That's just the direction that they're going in. Just let the arms kind of get a little heavy here too. Maybe you do a little spider crawl towards the top of your mat, lengthening out the sides of the body, the side. Oh, wow. Maybe you spider crawl the hands here as well towards the top of the mat, really lengthening out both side bodies here. I kind of like to start child's pose to center here as well. So just kind of being close to the ground, filling all corners of the mat here too, with the tops of the feet on the mat, the palms on the mat here as well. And really, if you think about it, when are you ever this close or this grounded to the earth, to nature? So kind of take it in here. Keep those eyes closed. Nobody can see whether they're open or closed. So that always makes me feel more comfortable in this pose as well. And once you are here, just kind of settle in, come back to your own breath. So we'll just do a few deep inhales and exhales. By no means do you have to follow me at this time. Just stay with your natural rhythm here to center in before we get started today. And again, maybe you massage that third eye here too, finding just some subtle movements. Definitely encourage you to get out any jitters here. So even if that means you kind of have to come back up and sit back down, spread those hands out wide, whatever it may be. And again, just a couple deep inhales at your own pace. Try to make sure those inhalations are equal to the exhalations here. So big inhale, count to maybe about 4 or 5. Hold at the top, equal exhale out for 4 or 5 moments. Pushing them all away, closing the belly. Big inhale, feel the chest expand, the side bodies lengthen. Maybe the hips come off the heels just slightly. And exhale, get heavy once again. A couple more rounds here. Focusing in, letting go of the day that you've had, or maybe you're using this to start your day. Really center in and thank yourself for making it on your mat today. That's definitely the hardest part in my opinion. So the fact that you're here with me, ready to float out for the next 60 minutes, is a win in my book. Okay, coming back to center here, go ahead and raise onto the fingertips of the hand. So maybe think of having a nice cupcake under both of those hands that you're not wanting to smush. And once you do that, try to spider crawl just a little bit more. And then head over to the left side of the mat. So that left palm will probably be off the mat, which is okay. And then you're going to bring that right hand on top of the left hand here as well. Really glue down that right hip crease so you can kind of find that side body stretch here. Lengthen out a little bit. Trip. My apologies, this is going to happen. Maybe that left temple hits the mat here too. I guess this is what we work with when we're outside with the dog. And really think about breathing into that right side body in between all the rib crevices, the rib cage there. And exhale, let it go. And we'll inhale back to center for a moment. And as we exhale, that right hand will travel off the mat and the left hand will place right on top of it. And again, gluing down that left hip bone. Really opening up that left side body. Big breath here. And exhale, let it go. Biggest inhale, really filling up the side body. Maybe gluing down that left hand on top of the right, kind of pushing that down to open up and find some new space. Last inhale. And we'll exhale. And as we inhale, let's come back to center for a moment. Begin to lift the hips up, staying on the knees, finding puppy pose. So you'll start spider crawling those hands closer to the edge of the mat or the top edge of the mat here, and really let that chest get heavy. Maybe the chin reaches the mat here as well. Now, if you are here in your puppy pose on your forearms, or if you're just simply like this and the chest is not on the mat, that's 100% okay too. And if the chin is on the mat, just make sure you're gazing straight up towards the front of the mat here, or the front of your space. And if you're ever wanting more, you can always come back onto those fingertips, lift up those elbows slightly, and then we push back down. Nice, easy, gentle stretch for the shoulders, opening up. Maybe you close your eyes for a moment, breathe into those sensations you may be feeling in whatever capacity you are in. And we'll hold this for about 4 more breaths. Big inhale, filling up. And exhale. Again, one last inhale. And we'll exhale, this time coming all the way onto the mat, finding Sphinx pose. So really ground the hands down, the forearms down as well. And think about finding a pulling action. So you're not necessarily moving the hands or moving the forearms, you're just finding a pulling action, bringing the elbows towards the hip bones. Make sure the tops of the feet are flat on the mat here as well, and keep that neck nice and elongated. So tuck the chin towards the chest just slightly and gaze towards the front of the mat. Settle in, breathing. Still finding some activation here, right? So it's not a passive pose. You don't want to like sink in with the shoulders, and you don't want your forearms to kind of just be resting. Make sure you are finding that pulling action as you lean up towards the top of the mat. Maybe here you find some neck rolls as well. Going for whichever side you choose. Maybe inhaling, rounding up towards the left side. And you'll exhale right ear to right shoulder. Again, inhaling up and exhaling that left ear to left shoulder. Or if you're finding stillness here today, definitely stay that way as well. One more breath. And exhale it out. Big inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to find our way to child's pose just for a moment. Just to transition. And we'll inhale up to tabletop. So hands on the mat, knees on the mat as well. Always want to make sure those shoulders are above the wrist and the hips are the knees are about hip distance apart. Gonna work through some cat-cow. So let's inhale, drop the belly, shift the gaze. And we'll exhale, round lower, mid, upper back, finding that Halloween cat-like position, tucking the chin to the chest. Inhale, drop the belly, find the curve. Gaze is last. And we'll exhale again, pushing and rounding here. Now, of course, those inhales mean the belly drops. And quickly here, the exhale means you're going to round up, separating the shoulder blades. So now that you kind of know where the inhalations and the exhalations should go, definitely move at your own pace here. Always will encourage intuitive movement. So if you are really digging the, spinal movements here, the spinal creativity that we have, stay with this cat-cow. But if you're needing some more side body stretches, go ahead and find that too. Shift the hips to each edge of the mat. There's really no rules here. It's whatever your body is feeling. Maybe you come back to our child's pose, and then maybe you bring the hips up, finding an upward facing dog. There's so many possibilities that you can go to. That's why I always encourage you, especially if you're home doing this, no judgment, or around, friends and family that you love, taking this class together. Feel free to experiment here. That's what yoga is about. Just a couple more rounds, kind of doing whatever you are choosing to do. Feel free to stay. Awesome. We're going to finish up that last round here, coming back to that neutral tabletop position. And all we're going to do from here, we're going to find what we call like a fire hydrant pose. So we're going to work those hips, work the hip flexors. So staying in our tabletop position, all you're going to do is inhale and lift that left knee up about hip distance apart. So nothing more, nothing less, right? Just find where you can hold it steady. Keep the glutes activated. Flex the toes towards the face. And try not to dip all your weight to the right side here. As best as you can, try to stay center. We won't be here for too long here, but we will kind of find some pulsing action. So while you're here, let's inhale and pulse up just a couple inches, and you'll pulse down. Just staying with your own breath here. We'll do about 5 rounds. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for a moment. Extend that left leg out long. Place the outer edge blade of the foot on the ground. Now here, let's inhale that right arm up towards the sky. And as we exhale, we're gonna thread it through so that right hand will meet the left foot here as well. And soon that right shoulder blade will meet the mat, maybe the right temple. Now your left hand, kind of whatever feels good for you here. So maybe it goes towards the corner edge of the mat or the top of the mat, or maybe you find a bind under that right hip crease. I like this variation of thread the needle, only because it will allow you to find some nice twist in the upper body. You can kind of open it up a little bit more. Now, if you want your traditional thread the needle, please don't let me stop you. Always kind of go back here. But if you're wanting to experiment with this variation, kind of stick with me. Gaze can be up towards the sky. I'm looking at a nice big blue sky with some palm trees, so it's not the worst view. Maybe you can close your eyes and think about that if your view's not the same. Awesome, just settling and breathing in here. And if that left hand did find the right hip crease, go on and extend it up towards the sky for a moment and then place it on the mat. We're gonna inhale that right arm up towards the sky. And as we exhale, just kind of come up to a T position here. Use that core to activate, and we'll find just a gate pose. So slide that left hand down towards the left leg and extend the right arm up and overhead, feeling a nice deep stretch through the right side. Gonna spin that tricep down towards the right ear. Think about closing that ear or that right ear with the tricep. Beautiful. Inhaling back up to that T position, and we'll exhale that right hand down to the ground, and let's extend that left arm up overhead as well, just to find that little counter pose, that counter stretch. Gaze can be towards the sky or down to the ground. Really sealing in the outer edge left blade of the foot. Let's inhale back up to center for a moment, and we'll exhale back to that tabletop position, switching sides. So let's bring that right knee about hip level apart, or hip length here, going through those fire hydrant actions. So flex those toes towards the face. Try the best you can to keep a nice length here. Don't lean all into the left side body. And we'll inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, making sure you're pulsing. 1, hold for a moment. Extend the right leg out long. Place it to the mat. Inhale that left arm up to the sky. And we'll exhale, threading it across towards the right side of the room, placing that left temple, the left shoulder rather, on the ground. Same variation with our right hand here. So maybe it goes towards the corner edge of the mat, finding that cupcake action we were working with during our child's pose, or you can cross it over and find that left hip crease. Beautiful. Just settling in, breathing into where you're feeling any sensation. Hopefully you're kind of understanding what I was saying with this thread the needle variation. It's just super nice to have that extra assistance with the right leg, pushing you and letting you twist open a little bit more here. Just finding what feels good. There's no right answer to that as long as your body is enjoying where you're taking it. Couple more rounds. Awesome. And again, if you do have that bind, go ahead and release it here. Placing the right hand to the mat, we'll inhale and extend that left arm up towards the sky. And then as we exhale again, we're going to find that T position for a moment. And then slide that right hand down to the right leg. And inhale, extend that left arm up overhead. Of course, making sure, so where your gaze goes is where your chest is gonna go. I'm gazing up, my chest is gonna go up. If you wanted to find a nice chest opener, make sure you gaze up towards the sky as well, wrapping that tricep over towards the left ear. Breathing and feeling into that left side body. Deep breath, opening up and creating some space. Big inhale. Exhale, let it go. Biggest inhale, bringing us back to that T position. And as we exhale, let's place that left hand to the mat, extend the right arm up overhead. Go ahead and spin that right tricep down as well as you gaze towards the sky. And keep a nice firm grip, sealing the outer edge blade of the right foot here too. Opening up and breathing into the right side body. You can always keep the back toes tucked as well if balance is not your friend today. 2 more rounds. And last one here. Big inhale. And we'll exhale back to that T position and to our tabletop. So what we'll do, we'll just do a couple cat and cows to kind of realign the spine here. Let's go through about 2 rounds by yourself. As you finish up that last round, let's tuck the toes, lift the knees and the hips towards the sky, finding your first downward facing dog. So definitely in the first one here, I always encourage you kind of find some movement. This is a really deep stretch. We're working out our whole body, right? So you're working the hamstrings, you're working on pressing the chest towards the sky, internally rotating the biceps away from you. So a lot going on. So feel free to get those jitters out here. We have a few rounds. Nothing too strict about our first downward facing dog. Just find what feels good for you today. Tuck the chin towards the chest as you really seal and push into all 10 fingers. Okay, and when you are ready, we're gonna find a still downward facing dog. Let's inhale, extend the right leg up towards the sky. And as we exhale, that right leg's gonna come to the top of the mat, drop the back knee, finding a low lunge. Arms framing the ears, really pushing in and settling that left hip down, squaring the hips towards the top of the mat. Keeping that knee over the ankle just for this pose for a moment. And just gaze up towards the top of the room, wherever your space is today. Palms facing one another. And keep that pelvis tucked in and just settle in. If the arms are too tired today, you can always interlace them and place them on that right thigh just to find some movement. Just whatever feels good for a few rounds. Maybe you extend and straighten that right leg, finding just a simple half splits, and then coming back to lunge into it. If you want to work with your balance, you can always release the hands as well as you lunge deep and extend straight. All just suggestions here. One more round. And we'll exhale the hands to the mat. Let's tuck those back toes, lift the knee up, staying in a runner's lunge. You may have to heel toe that right foot to the right edge of the mat. Definitely okay. Want to keep those palms sailed down. And I just want you to find some movement, kind of greasing up that right hip flexor here, getting heavy on the left toes, then pushing that left heel back to the mat or to the back of the room here. I'm going to pushing the chest through, collarbones through, gaze towards the front. Try to keep that chest nice and lifted here. Maybe you straighten that leg again, extend back into it. Also adding like a nice wrist stretch here as well. Maybe you go in circles for a moment. Awesome. Let's bring that right leg back to meet the left, going to downward facing dog. No vinyasas just yet. Now maybe you feel a difference here for a moment before we switch to the left side. I know personally my right hip's feeling a little more open, nice stretch. Let's inhale, extend that left leg to the sky. And as we exhale, that left leg is going to go to the top of the mat. Place that back knee down. Inhale, rise for Anjanae Asana. Keeping the arms, framing the ears. Or of course, interlacing them at the thigh here as well. Really no rules right now. I just want you to open up some space, find some movement. Maybe try keeping that pelvis tucked. A slight activation in the core is always good. Knee above that ankle. If you tuck that back right toe, you'll feel a nice quad stretch here too. Just a few breaths. Settling in. Kind of going with what you've chosen. So if those arms are up, try to keep them up. If they are interlaced, kind of stay there here. If they're interlaced, really push and kind of separate the shoulder blades as well. Closing your eyes. Maybe you play with that extension of the left leg here, finding just a nice half split for a moment. All good options. The sun's finally setting here, and it's so pretty in Arizona. Especially the skies get like super nice and cotton candy about this time, so super stoked to record right now too. Awesome, just a few more rounds. Let's inhale those arms up overhead. And we'll exhale, placing them to the mat here as well. Tuck the back toes, lift that right knee up, finding the runner's lunge. Of course, heel toeing that left foot if needed. And we're gonna go through those same motions. It's kind of nice to have effort and ease. So don't put too much effort, don't put too much thinking into, this movement that we're doing. Just roll out the wrist, kind of find a nice gentle movement, a stretch in the left hip flexor, and experiment with what feels good for you. So we will never be the same, and we should never be the same. So maybe what I really like about this pose you hate, maybe you don't want to move, or maybe you like finding that extension that I'm not cueing because I simply don't do it that often, but that by no means means that you cannot do that here. Just a couple more rounds, rolling out the wrist. Maybe getting heavy on the ball mound of the right foot, pushing the heel towards the back of the mat. Try to remember to keep that chest nice and open and lifted. Beautiful, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. So we'll go through just a couple sun A's here to get the body warmed up. So as we inhale, let's lift the heels, bend the knees, gaze towards the top of the mat, step or hop on up there. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, straight spine. And we'll exhale, fold, micro bend at the knees if needed. Let's inhale, root to rise, arms up overhead, shape of the sun. And we'll exhale those palms to heart center, Samasihiti, and to our sides. Inhale again, arms up overhead. And we'll exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, plant those palms to the mat, step or hop back, finding that plank pose here for a moment. Let's walk through that first chaturanga together. So pushing the hands away from the mat, strong heels towards the back of the mat here, keeping the hips in line with the head. Gaze up towards the top of the mat here, kind of, just a little bit ahead of you to keep the neck elongated. We'll do a big inhale, and as we exhale, we're gonna bend and just lower down halfway, so elbows towards the rib cages. Inhale and tuck the toes, lift the chest, upward facing dog. And exhale, use that core as we go back to downward facing dog. Awesome. And right away, let's inhale, lift those heels, bend the knees, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, big root to rise, arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center, into our side. Inhale again, arms up overhead. And this time we'll exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step or hop back, flowing through your vinyasa. Maybe that means you skip this all together. Maybe you find the cobra pose, whatever calling to you today. And we'll do one more by ourselves. So go ahead and go on, inhaling, lifting the heels, bend the knees, step or hop to the top of the mat, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. Awesome. Now, when we are in our downward facing dog here, we're going to inhale, extend the right leg up to the sky. And as we exhale, let's bring that right knee to nose the best that we can, keeping the heel to the bum. Inhale, extend the right leg up towards the sky. And this time, as we exhale, that right foot's going to go to the top of the mat, and we'll rise to our crescent pose. So staying long and strong in this back leg here too. I want that quad to stay nice and lifted. Really drive into the ball mount of that back foot and push that heel up and to the front to keep a nice elongation in the back leg. With our right leg here, let's keep it a nice bend here. Try to go to a 90-degree angle. Maybe that thigh is parallel to the mat. If it's not parallel to the mat, you are still 100% doing the pose, but that's just kind of an added guidance here. Keeping those hips squared as well. We'll inhale those arms up overhead. Finding something to gaze at, finding your drishti. If this is ever too much for you, definitely don't hesitate to drop the left knee down. Of course, this is a much simpler pose, but if balance isn't your friend today, you can do this as well. Of course, if balance is kind of challenging for you today, make sure you take some time to look at your stance here, right? You don't want the feet to be tight ropes. You want them more to be like train tracks. So definitely widen the stance if you think that could be a problem with balance. Keeping a nice look towards the top of the mat. Big inhale, lengthen out the side bodies. And as we exhale, let's push that right knee down just a little bit more, lunging into it. Big inhale. And we'll exhale, open up. Left hand to the top of the mat, right hand towards the back. Gaze is over towards the the right side of the room here as the hips stay squared. Keeping a nice straight long line of energy from the back heel to the crown of our head. Big inhale. And exhale, settle. Inhale. And exhale. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Drop that right hand to the back of the left thigh. Reverse revolved here. So as that right hand is to the left thigh, inhale and extend the left arm up towards the sky. Gaze to follow. Big inhale. Really feeling it in that left side body. And as we exhale, let's cartwheel both hands down to the mat, and we'll flow through our vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. Beautiful. And right away here, let's inhale that left leg to the sky, and we'll exhale, left knee to nose. Inhale, extend, and exhale, left foot to the top of the mat, rising for crescent on your inhalation. Still keeping a nice strong back leg, heel high. Keeping the core activated, tucking the tailbone and the pelvis. Rolling those shoulder blades down. They tend to creep up here towards the ears as the biceps kind of frame the ears here as well. Rotating the pinkies to meet one another, palms facing one another. Beautiful, just focusing on your breath here. Keeping the neck nice and long. Really finding a pulling or pushing action rather with the thighs. So keep those thighs closed like a scissor action here. Nice wide stance. Big inhale. And exhale, settle in, lunge a little bit deeper in that front leg. Inhale, arms up. And as we exhale, let's find that twist. So that left hand will be towards the back of the mat as the right hand extends out towards the front. Hips stay squared. The only thing moving here is our torso, guys. So that torso will go to the left side of the mat here. Gaze can be towards the back of the room, towards the front, wherever you find comfort and can find stillness. And settle in for a few moments. Gazing at something that's not moving, perhaps. Big inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, settle. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reverse revolve. That left hand's gonna meet the right thigh or maybe the right shin, whatever capacity works for you. And as you inhale, that right arm's gonna extend up towards the sky. Reverse revolve. Gaze can follow here as well. Really feeling it all the way through, at least me personally, from my chest to all the way to the back heel. I'm feeling a nice stretch. Big inhale and exhale. Last inhale here. And as we exhale, we'll cartwheel both hands down, flowing through our vinyasa yet again, meeting in downward facing dog. Or you know what, we'll meet in child's pose for a moment just to kind of come back to our breath if we did lose it here. So knees can be out wide towards the edges of the mat. Again, those hips heavy towards the heels. You can always bring the knees in close as well, and you can wrap both hands over towards the back of the mat, maybe grabbing your heels, and that will have a nice shoulder stretch here too. So picking where you'd like to be. We'll be here for a few moments. Maybe you get some water, kind of just settle in, come back to your breath, close your eyes. Awesome, guys. Guys and gals. Just a few moments. Feeling your heart racing, the body warming up, the work you're putting in, coming through every, part of the body, the fingertips, the toes, the heels. Beautiful. And when you are ready, we'll meet again in that downward facing dog. And we'll flow through that another round a little bit more faster. So we'll try to link our breath to movement. So less cueing, more flowing. All right, from our downward facing dog, let's inhale, extend the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, right knee to nose. Inhale, extend. And exhale, right foot to the top of the mat, rising for crescent. And an exhale to settle. Big inhale here. Exhale, open on up to the right side of the mat. And as we exhale, right away, it's reverse revolve. So right hand to left thigh, left arm, extend up overhead. Big inhale and exhale. Last inhale here. And as we exhale, both hands are going to cartwheel down, flowing through your vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog. Inhale, extend that left leg right away to the sky. Exhale, left knee to nose. Again, inhale, extend. And exhale, left foot to the top of the mat, rising for crescent. And an exhale to settle. Big inhale. Exhale, open on up. And inhale, reverse revolve. So that left hand will meet the right thigh. Right arm extends up overhead. Big inhale. And exhale, lunge a little bit deeper. Last inhale here. And as we exhale, both hands are going to meet the mat, flowing through your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. Beautiful. So we'll go through that again and add on just a few. So when you are ready, let's inhale, extend the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, right knee to nose. Inhale, extend. And exhale, right knee to the top of, right foot to the top of the mat, rising for crescent. And we'll exhale, twist and open on up. This time we're going to inhale back to our crescent pose. And we'll exhale, open on up. This time we'll inhale back to crescent. And let's exhale, straighten that front leg, finding a modified pyramid. So what I mean by that left heel is going to be up. If you don't want it up, simply scooch the left foot up. But from kind of where we are in crescent, we'll roll right to that pyramid pose. So keeping a nice straight right leg, maybe possibly a micro bend in that right knee is totally okay. Let's inhale, extend the spine, the back out long, and let's exhale, fold over that right foot. Kind of marinating, settling in. Awesome, just a few more moments. Let's inhale, extend to a flat back, straight spine. And as we exhale, we're going to pivot the toes to the left side of the mat for a wide-legged fold. So inhale, straight spine, flat back. And exhale, settle in and fold. Not too picky in my wide-legged forward folds here either, guys. Just find what you like. So maybe you're here and you're really feeling a nice hamstring stretch. Stay here and kind of experiment and feel what those sensations are doing. If you're wanting more, just simply bend at the elbows. Maybe the forearms will eventually touch the mat here too. The knees can be at any stance here. Finding movement that feels good to you. If you are an inverter or if you are working on inversions, now is the time. Maybe you find a headstand, maybe you find a forearm stand. Lunging into both legs one at a time. Beautiful. We'll inhale to a flat back and straight spine. This time as we exhale, we're pivoting to the back of our mat, finding another modified pyramid pose with the left foot up front. Big inhale just to straighten the spine, and exhale, fold. Big inhale once again, let's straighten the spine. And as we exhale, we're gonna kind of jump into a standing split here. So go ahead and slowly kick off that right leg and keep that neck and that back nice and extended. And then exhale, find a deep fold here, your deepest fold in standing splits. If you are a handstander, definitely work on those handstands if you would like. Jumping off that left foot. In our standing splits here, we want to try to keep the hips squared, so it's really easy as we extend the right leg up that our hips open up too. But the goal of the split, or the standing split rather, would be keeping the hips geared towards the mat, so hips parallel with the mat, and then extend that right leg up. Awesome. Big inhale, last exhale here. Big inhale, find a flat back, straight spine, and bring that right foot to meet the left here and fold. Nice micro bend in the knees. Maybe we sway from side to side. You know what we'll actually do? Heel toe the feet out a little bit, about hip distance apart. Grab those opposite elbows for ragdoll. Letting gravity do the work. Let the hips get heavy, torso heavy as well. Crown of the head towards the mat. So I'm letting go of that grip here. So palms on the mat. We'll inhale to a flat back. And we'll exhale, fold. This time we'll inhale, arms up overhead, shape of the sun. And exhale, palms to heart center into our sides. And we'll do that once more here. Arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, straight spine. And we'll exhale, flow through your Vinyasa. So we're still at the back of our mat here, guys. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Let's do a different view here for this side. So inhale, extend the left leg up to the sky. Exhale, left knee to nose. Inhale, extend. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat, rising for crescent. And settling for a moment. Big inhale here. And exhale, open up to the left side of the mat, finding a nice twist. So that left hand's towards what was the front of the mat, and our right hand is kind of to the back here. Big inhale. Exhale to settle. Again, inhaling back to crescent for a moment. And exhale, finding that twist. Big inhale. Exhale, left hand to right foot. Find reverse revolve. Extend that left arm up over towards the sky. Kind of in line with our face here. I'm just mixing up my left and right every 2 seconds. The right hand should be up over towards the sky. Big side stretch here. Big inhale. And let's exhale the hands to the mat, straighten that left leg, finding again our modified pyramid. So keeping up on the ball mound of the right foot, flat back, straight spine, definitely a nice stretch all the way through the left leg. Then we'll inhale for a moment and then exhale, fold, crown of the head towards the back of the room. Again, if you're not digging this modified pyramid, no judgment here. Just go ahead and push that right leg up towards the center of the mat here if that works for you. Big inhale and exhale, fold. Kind of marinate here for a moment. Now we'll inhale to the flat back, straight spine. And as we exhale, we're going to pivot and find that wide-legged forward fold once again. So again, hinging at the hips. Maybe try something new this time. You can always, let's all kind of work through this. So inhale, halfway lift. Keep those arms out to a T here, guys. Bring the palms to the back of the room, and eventually you're going to bring them to meet one another, and you'll interlace the hands, thumbs over one another. And then we'll inhale for a flat back, and then flat back. And then as we exhale, we'll bring the crown of the head to the mat, opening up those shoulder blades. Nice. So you're getting that wide-legged forward fold here still, getting a nice hamstring stretch, but we're also opening up the shoulders here. Letting gravity do the work. Maybe you close your eyes, settle in for a moment. Awesome. Releasing that bind. Let's inhale, halfway lift, and exhale. We're going to pivot to the top of the mat, finding that pyramid pose for a moment. Big inhale. Exhale, fold. Big inhale here. And then as we exhale, we're going to find that standing split. So our right foot will be on the mat, left foot extended up towards the sky. Settling in, thinking about melting the thigh towards the chest towards the thigh rather. You can always keep the left hand on the ground here too, guys, for some stability. And if you're ever wanting to deepen the standing split, go ahead and bring the right hand to the back of the calf and find a gentle push, a gentle squeeze. Big inhale. And exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Awesome. We'll inhale to a flat back, bringing both hands to the mat. And then we'll exhale once more, finding a nice fold. Beautiful. We'll inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. One more inhale to halfway lift for a flat back. And again, exhale, fold. And this time we'll inhale, arms up overhead, shape of the sun. And exhale, palms to heart center, and to our sides. Again, inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, flow through your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. Okay, here in our downward facing dog, we'll flow through just a couple sun A's to kind of get back to our center. So we'll inhale, lift the heels, bend at the knees, step or hop to the top of our mat. And we'll inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, those arms up overhead, and exhale, palms to heart center and to our sides. Again, let's inhale those arms up overhead, and exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. So inhale once more to that flat back, and this time we'll exhale, step or hop back, flowing through your vinyasa, and meeting in downward facing dog. This time let's inhale, extend that right leg up overhead, and we'll just bend at the knees and stack the hips. Try to keep the shoulders or the chest squared towards the top of the mat rather, and just find some nice circular motions with the right leg. Maybe even the right ankles, just opening up, experimenting with the space that we've created within the hips. And we'll come back to that three-legged dog, and then we'll exhale, finding half pigeon. So bring the right shin as parallel as you can to the top of the mat. It doesn't have to necessarily be parallel. You can always bring the right heel towards the left hip crease as well. And I like to stay up for a few moments just to kind of settle in and keep my hips heavy. If you're wanting more from your your pigeon pose, you can tuck the back toes, lift that knee, and kind of push the heel towards the back of the room here to keep a nice stretch with the right hip. And then when you are ready, you can settle on in, whatever that means to you. So maybe the forearms are on the mat, maybe your third eye is on the mat. If you have your forearms here and you're not sure what to do with your head, you can always make fists with your hands and keep the head on the fist as well. And just kind of settle in and start breathing here. I know pigeon isn't everybody's favorite, so if you're feeling, any pain or, any annoyances like that, definitely back out of it. But if it's something you think you can work through and breathe through, just settle in. We'll be here for a few. Keeping the right hip heavy. If that right hip's off the mat or it's just not feeling good, you can always try to roll up a towel, a blanket. If you have like a muscle, like a foam roller, that would work as well, even a black. Here for about 3 more long, deep breaths. Last one here. And staying for the exhale. This time as we inhale, we'll come back up to the top of the mat and go ahead and put some weight over to the right hip and bring the left leg out towards the front of the mat here too. Keeping the right sole of the foot kind of in the left hip crease, we'll inhale the arms up overhead, and as we exhale, we'll pivot over the left foot and fold deep. So try not to hunch right away. Try to lead with your chest or with the crown of your head as you keep the left toes flexed, and then find a nice fold. Think about melting the belly to your thigh here, or maybe the chest towards the shin. If you are this deep, you can always just interlace the hands over the left foot here too. What I started doing when I first wanted to deepen my folds, I would put blocks at my foot here, and I would use those as some leverage to kind of find a deeper fold when I, couldn't do that by myself. So you can always bring a block under the left foot here too. And keeping the sit bones grounded and heavy. And a couple more breaths. Awesome. As we inhale, let's come back up to center. We're going to place our right hand to the back of the mat, and we'll inhale to drive those hips up towards the sky, finding a nice side body stretch. And then we'll exhale those hips back down. And we're just going to switch to the other side. So if you want to take a vinyasa, you definitely can, or we'll just meet in downward facing dog. Once we are here, let's inhale, extend the left leg up to the sky, bend the knees and stack the hips, keeping the shoulders squared to the mat, and finding those same, circular movements or motions. Maybe rolling the left ankle here as well. It's a few more rounds. We'll inhale, extend that back to a 3-legged dog. And as we exhale, we're going to find pigeon on our left side here. So I know for me, I'm definitely more open in my left side, so it's way easy for me to keep that shin parallel to the top of the mat, but that by no means means that you need to here. You can always bring, again, that left heel towards the right hip crease. And always tuck the back toes, lift that knee just to find some nice movement or find some opening. And begin to settle in when you feel ready. Again, keeping the left hip bone heavy on the mat, putting some props there if needed. Leading with the chest before you exhale and extend to the mat, so that third eye to the mat. Make sure you're make sure you inhale to lengthen the side bodies in the back, and then you can exhale, fold over that left shin. And we'll be here for a few rounds, so just kind of get comfy, come back to your breath. Maybe you close your eyes. Always using the hands or the fists to hold the head if you're needing some support there, or of course if you're home, a pillow, a blanket, anything you have within your space. About 4 more nice deep long breaths. Last breath here. Staying for that exhale. And then we'll inhale back up to a flat back. Let's let the weight come to the left hip. Swing the right leg up towards the front of the mat. Keeping the the left foot towards the inner right thigh. We'll inhale, extend the arms up overhead. And as we exhale, begin to pivot over that right leg as you start to fold. Try to keep those hip bones grounded, and of course, like I said, leading with the crown of the head towards the flexed right toes. Trying to keep a nice flat back. Big inhale. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Again, a nice inhale here. Lengthen out the side bodies. And then exhale, fold. Last round here, letting a big inhale in. Staying for that exhale, pushing it out. This time we'll inhale back up to a seat. Bringing the left hand to the back of the mat. Drive the heels up towards the sky. And exhale those hips down. This time we'll meet on our backs here. So make sure your bum's kind of in the middle of the mat. Go ahead and get long on the mat here, keeping the soles of the feet on the ground so the knees will be towards the sky. And then we'll inhale, bring the knees to the chest. Hold them for a moment, kind of just finding a nice little hug, maybe massaging that lower back. Awesome. Big inhale. This time, as we exhale, let the knees fall over to the left side of the room as you gaze over towards the right side. So arms can be at a T, or you can always bring the left hand on top of the right thigh to kind of guide you in this twist, or kind of have some more extra assistance. You can always extend the legs out long here too. And just close your eyes and really think about breathing into that right side body. Rounding and keeping the shoulder blades to the mat here as well. And if the gaze over towards the right side is ever too much for you, you can always keep the gaze up towards the ceiling or the sky here too. Awesome. Big inhale. And exhale, let it go. This time we'll inhale back to center, knees towards the chest. And right away we'll exhale the knees over towards the right side of the room. And we'll gaze over towards the left. Keeping the shoulder blades kind of grounded in here. Maybe close your eyes. A couple more rounds. And exhale, pushing out all the air. Awesome. We'll inhale back to center, knees towards the chest. And as we exhale, let's grab the outer edge blades of both feet here, finding happy baby. So knees towards the ground, hips still heavy. I personally love swaying in happy baby, so I will always allow that or cue that rather. But if you like trying to find, the stillness or a static happy baby, definitely don't let me stop you here. So if you have the outer edge blades of the feet here, think about gently pushing them towards the ground. So eventually, the knees should be on the outside edges of the mat. Now, if this is not accessible to you today or ever, you can always just grab the thighs here or even the shins or, back of the calves, I guess, and find kind of that same happy baby action. For just a few more moments. Awesome. And if you are swaying from side to side, we'll come back to our static happy baby. So we're going to extend the left leg towards the front of the mat. And we're going to keep the right knee towards the chest. We're going to find that twist once more with keeping that left leg straight. So that right knee towards the chest. As you exhale, push it over towards the left side of the room. Kind of notice the difference, kind of how more, soften or deeper this twist may be with that left leg extended out long. Awesome. Coming back to centers, and coming back to center, we'll switch sides. So extend the right leg to the top of the mat. Keep that left knee, that left leg close to the chest for a moment. And on your next exhale, we'll extend the left knee towards the right side of the room. And gaze over towards the left. Maybe close your eyes. A few deep breaths. Awesome. We'll bring that left knee back to the chest for a moment, and then we'll exhale, extend it out long, getting ready for our final resting pose, so Savasana. So make sure you have the space that you need, or you take up the space that you want. Maybe you bring the heels towards the corner edges of the mat, hands out long. And just kind of do one more full body scan before we settle in. So let the hips get heavy, the heels, back of the calves, thighs. Maybe you roll those shoulder blades once more. Let those palms stay up to receive some energy. Or if you're wanting to kind of ground in the energy you have created, you can always bring the palms to flip them facing the ground here. So the tops of the hands will be towards the sky. And just get heavy. Maybe do a shake from left to right with the neck, or the head rather, to release any tension in the neck. Keeping the eyes closed. Releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Awesome. And just settle in. Let yourself be for a few moments, a few minutes here. So if you have the time or the space available to you, I definitely encourage you to stay in this Savasana. But if you are ready, we will start kind of making our way out of it. So no sudden movements right now. Just make subtle movements with the fingertips, the toes, kind of pushing them back and forth, bringing some movement back into those. Maybe start shaking the head again from left to right. Eventually moving, the arms and the thighs. Maybe find a nice good morning stretch here, extending the arms up overhead, feet towards the front of the mat, rolling out the ankles, any cracks that you may have. I definitely have them. And just breathing here, one more moment together. And then when you are ready, kind of rolling to either side of the mat for a fetal position. So whether that's the left or the right side, using that bottom arm for a cushion here. Keeping the eyes closed, kind of honing in and gathering the energy you've created. So when you are ready, you'll use whichever hand, of course, you're not laying your head on, to kind of push you up into a seated position with the eyes closed. And we'll do one big collective breath in together, hands to heart center. Big inhale, filling up the chest and the diaphragm. And exhale, push it out. Last inhale here. And as we exhale, we'll lean forward, finding our namaste, whatever that means for you. So when you are ready, we'll be done with this class today. So thanks for joining me today. And we'll see you in a few weeks for another class.